I wanted to just raise in when I'm talking about Zimbabweans, I'm talking about family. I've got Muroras, I've got family there. I've got friends there. I went to school with Zimbabweans, so it's very personal to me. So I never, not for a second, want to feel or to think that in any way I am against Zimbabwe or Zimbabweans, right? That's number
Mhm.
one. Number two, what I wanted to raise is I always hear this rhetoric whenever people are talking about South Africa and how South Africans are dealing with their issues and how South Africans are feeling about illegal foreigners. And they will always say South Africa belongs to all who live in it. This is beautiful. This is our core value as South Africa. But let's face the facts. Even that becomes an unattainable dream if there is no free movement and trade between the countries. If we are unable to go into each other's places and work freely and trade freely and so on, right? But unfortunately, we cannot move freely and we cannot trade freely if, for example, these countries do not take care of their own internal affairs. So it goes back to our my original point, that is, each of these countries must deal with their internal affairs. Now, I don't know about you, Zikin, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Before you leave Zim to enter South Africa, you produce your papers. So you produce that you have the correct documents to enter the host country. I know this to be true for me because when I left South Africa to go to Thailand, I produced my papers and I produced my visa. I produced everything that I needed in South Africa in OR Tambo first, because I needed to prove in OR Tambo in South Africa that I have the right, or I have been given the right to go to the host country, right? Now,
Yes.
is that true, right? That is true even for you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now I know that this is something that the Zim government can assist South Africans with as well, because for undocumented Zimbabweans to be able to cross into South Africa, it cannot be the burden of South Africa alone to make sure that everybody is documented. So the Zimbabwean government, for example, needs to make sure that they have the correct census of all the people that are crossing their borders into the host country. They need to make sure that they are documented. That's number one. Number two, they need to have a census of all the foreigners or their citizens in their host countries. In the host countries. So Zimbabwean government needs to know how many Zimbabweans are in South Africa, so that it can also account for Zimbabweans in South Africa.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Now, I'll also take care of the rot of its own corruption, like our officials that are looking after our borders and our home affairs, and make sure that we have the correct systems in place to track and trace documentations of foreigners and citizens alike. Because you will find that in South Africa, there are citizens of South Africa that don't have documentation, for example, that don't have an ID, right? And how they don't attain IDs, I have no idea. That needs to be taken care of as well. So now, between these two countries, we have our internal struggles that we need to sort them out. And we cannot say, oh, we blame so and so for our problems. Just like I don't like it when Zimbabweans would always quote South Africa. South Africa should, South Africa should, South Africa should. It also means that what can Zimbabwean government do to help South Africa in terms of dealing with its own citizens, right? Because the way that I see it, I don't think that Zimbabwean government knows how many Zimbabweans are in South Africa if they cross the border illegally. So now, when an issue like let's say Elvis Nyati, or an issue like a Zimbabwean national gets harmed in South Africa, that's the only time that we'll be able to hear from the Zimbabwean government, able to give full information or full account over what has transpired, right? That's another thing. Now, in the issue about border control, it is a very important issue, but going back to my original argument, take care of your internal affairs, because border control alone will not be able to resolve the issue of illegal migrants, because it is not the only thing that is causing the influx of illegal migrants. And I want to close with this. In 2020, Umamuye von Chaka Chaka was, I'm going to say, kicked out. The news says she was not kicked out, but she left Ghana, right, before performing for a New Year's Eve concert in 2020, right, due to incorrect visa, right?
Sure.
What I'm trying to say, she had to cancel her performance that people have booked and people have paid for, and they wanted to see her, but she couldn't go through with her performance because the Ghanaian government decided that Mamuye von Chaka Chaka, you do not have the correct papers to be here, therefore you need to go back to your country and sort out those papers.
True.
Right now, she could have said, oh, Ghana belongs to all who live in it. It's Africa. It's my home. It's my land. But she understood, as well as all South Africans, because I don't remember not one South African took up arms and said that was unfair. It shouldn't have happened, because everybody understands that Ghana is a sovereign country. It has its own laws. And as a guest in that country, you abide by those rules. Simple and straightforward. That's it for me.
Wow. Thank you so much. Okay. Let me open for Shingi.
Hi, Zeki. I was just listening to the lady saying, was it not Uganda? Was it not Uganda where Mamuye von Chaka Chaka had to be, cancelled? I don't know, something which was some visa issue, because I do follow her on Instagram. I think it was Uganda. I don't think it was
check
Ghana.
I don't know if my memory serves me well, but I think it was Ghana, but I could be corrected with this one.
I'm not, but as far as I remember, it was East Africa, because that is where this other political activist, who's a singer, called Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is not from Ghana. Is he not from Uganda? So
okay, I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up right now. I'm sorry, it is Uganda.
It is Uganda, yes. You see, I'm right.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Her on Instagram. I follow Mamuye von Chaka Chaka, so I knew it was Uganda because she's quite affiliated with Bobby Wine. I've been listening. It has been quite a very long program, and there's so many people that have given their own contributions. And I do understand, I share some of the sentiments which Mukonto was discussing with regards to some of the South Africans who are really educated and they are qualified, and they cannot find employment and they cannot find work. That on its own, yeah, it is a reality on the ground. And because I know I've got cousins who went to technicons, and some of them have gone to universities and they've completed their qualifications, and some of them until now they are not employed. And sometimes that can bring a lot of resentment, and it can bring a lot of hatred, especially when they see people that are coming from other foreign parts of the world and they come into the country, and all of a sudden they get a job or they get employment. So that can create a lot of envy and jealousy. Like going back forward, at the end of the day, we were doing some private chats as well with Raz on the other side, where he was like trying to explain to me that I should admit that Zimbabwe is in a crisis. As far as I know, I don't think Zimbabwe is in a crisis, but in Zimbabwe it is a political situation that has been an ongoing one, which has been going on and on and on and on. The reason why I keep saying it's a political situation is because of everything that is happening there is more political other than anything else. So it's not for the people of Zimbabwe. That is not like they are not making anything, they are not people who are not trying to make changes. They are not people who are not trying to do something about it, or people are just sitting idly and they're saying everything that is happening there is okay. But people, are not resolving to, because Iran was saying, oh, people should be violent, or people should rise and turn against the government or fight and burn streets and things like that. Already Zimbabwe is already been shattered already because of the economical situations. So people are just using their own brains, because if they start to destroy the furniture that they have, the buildings that they have, how is that going to help them? Because war is not going to help anything other than that. It will destroy all the infrastructure and everything that is there. So at the end of the day, I am listening, ZK, and this issue of illegal migration, as far as it concerns, I don't think is going to stop until things are resolved in Zimbabwe. If Zimbabwe becomes, a normal state where, its economy is functioning well, they've got their own middle class like before, and the industry is functioning well, then hence they will not be seeing all these economical migrants trying to cross the border coming to South Africa. And most of them, I think they do like to cross with legal documents. But like I say, Zimbabwe is a very massive country. Not everybody is in the same status or in the same class. Not everyone, because some, they come from dire poverty in rural areas and even in some of the townships, which they might be struggling. So all they can do is just to cross the border and enter into South Africa illegally, which is not good. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but it's just that to them, it's like a survival of the fittest. They're just trying to find a way to survive. And I don't think only Zimbabweans are crossing to South Africa. This Zimbabwe issue is affecting SADC. And it's affecting Zambia, it's affecting all the surrounding countries that surround Zimbabwe. That's why I was saying it's an African issue. It's not just something that, a man walking down the street can just look into it and just say, oh, we need to address it in a way. It is a problem that has been an ongoing issue. It's an ongoing problem, and it needs to be addressed. But how does it get to be addressed? In a diplomatic way. And so there are so many ways that things can be addressed. But violence, I am condoning violence. I am condoning people that wants to kill other people, taking law into their own hands. I think that is not right. Where we live here in the UK, like I said, there are people who are anti-immigrants. There are parties who are anti-foreigners. There are parties who are like that, but you don't just walk into the street and someone will hold a gun on you or want to shoot you. That will never happen, but people are allowed in a democratic country to express their views and their opinions, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So that is my own saying, ZK, and thank you very much for offering me the platform.
Thank you, Shingi. I wanted to ask you,
Hey,
which country are
ZK.
you in? Shingi?
Yes, I'm listening. I think Rand is yeah.
Where are you?
I'm in the United Kingdom.
Okay, I want to give you a question.
Yes.
How do they deal with illegal immigrants in the UK?
Yes, in the UK, if you are an illegal immigrant and you are caught, obviously, they will take you to a detention center, which is like a removal center. But if you are in that removal center, they give you an option, of maybe seeking legal advice, which they might give you a lawyer, which is from the government, if you can't afford one. And from that, at the end of the day, that's where some other people might seek what is called asylum. And it will be on the basis on how you are seeking asylum, to what grounds. And that country that you are seeking asylum, is it a country that is regarded that it falls under, the effects of human rights and things like that. So like, for instance, it can be a struggle for someone who is from South Africa to, just to start to say they are seeking asylum. You understand? Because they know South Africa is regarded as a country that upholds human rights and, people, live, walk, safely. There's freedom of speech and things like that. So there's so many things that they do consider. So, but obviously, if you are taken into a detention center, you will be waiting for removal to, if they process your documentation, to take you back to your own country of origin. So, yeah, I think in South Africa, they've got what is called Lindela, but I don't know if they're still doing it, taking people to Lindela and, deport them. But obviously, if they deport them, they still come back again because they've come undocumented. So they go back there and then they come back again. So it will be a back forth and, it's just going to be like that. So, so some of the sentiments which the South Africans are saying, I do understand because I've lived there, ZK. And I know some of my cousins were not going to work, and not because they were uneducated, but they were educated. And they, like one of my, cousin sisters, she went to a technical in KwaZulu-Natal, and she completed and she with high grades and everything, but she couldn't get a job. She ended up being catering, like trying to cook for people, in funerals and things like that. But she was quite highly educated, but she was somebody who could not, get a job. So I do understand some of those things, and it creates a lot of, hatred and resentment. So, even my grandmother, like I said, she used to tell me, she used to speak to me, in my own, in a Zulu language, and tell me that, oh, you see, these people, they are going to rise against your people. She used to, a long time ago, I think in 2006, it's a long time ago. So, my grandma foresee all what is happening today, because she was saying one day there's going to be an uprising. And I know it's not in the best interest for everyone, but there is an uprising now. And I know the internet as well is kind of fueling as well. So, but we thank you, ZK, because yours is quite positive. It's giving people platform to talk and air out their views.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Shingi. I'm going to open the mic for Raz right now, but Brother Shingi, I'm going to remove you from the stream so that I add someone else. Go ahead, Raz.
Can I just add something quickly on the part about Lindela? The part where Shingi mentioned Lindela.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, in 2014, I was volunteering over there. They still do have facilities like that. But what we've seen there is a huge number of undocumented foreigners that are on that side, and they don't even have the proper documentation to go into their countries. So you'll find that they are stuck in that facility because their own governments do not recognize them as citizens of their own. So that's the problem that Lindela was facing. But obviously, some were able to be deported back into their own countries, but some are stuck there.
Wow. I think this one we should keep it like that. It's actually a very big topic that we might even have to look at. Okay, so Shingi, I'm going to take you out. Raz, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, ZK. ZK, I've come to the realization that the unity of Africa at this stage would be disastrous. The time for us South Africans